Hi everybody, it's Summit Searcher here, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some tips and things that I have found out while my time winter hiking. So this is a great guide for beginners. If you are a beginner winter hiker or you just want some more information, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on my channel so that you can have future updates for winter hike suggestions and content moving forward. So number one, the thing I've realized the most, and I know I've beaten this to death, is layering system. And wintertime, it's the most critical time for you to have this down to a science, because you need to have your insulated layers, your wool layers, your non-cotton layers, so that you don't get wet, because wet equals hypothermia, and it's important to make sure that you have the proper attire when you're venturing into the mountains this time of year. Also having that mid-insulated layer that you can take off when you start getting hot and sweaty during the bulk of your hike and the strenuous parts, and then being able to put all of those layers back on at the summit when you start getting to those sub-zero wind chills. It's critical, super important, and I cannot say it enough. So make sure you have enough layers. You can also take off or add as needed. Headwear, footwear, socks, hand warmers, hand gloves, everything that you could need in case you would have to spend the night. Number two, winter weather changes quickly. And I know this sounds pretty easy and pretty straightforward, but it's something that you need to keep in mind, because you can go from a beautiful bluebird day with not a cloud in the sky to snow squalls to blizzard-like conditions. And if you go to those sort of conditions and you don't have the proper attire or gear or navigation devices, it can be really hard to see even a mere 200 feet in front of your face. If you can't see that far in front of your face, you wouldn't think about this, but how do you get back to the trail? It's definitely really important to monitor the conditions. There is no shame in looking at the weather and saying, I think it's time to turn around even though we didn't make it to the summit yet. It's better safe than sorry, and you need to keep an eye out for those wind chill temperatures before you embark on any of these hikes. I use like Weather on the Mountains, I think is the name of the website. I'll put it in the caption below, but that website specifically will tell you what the temperature is going to feel like at the summit with wind chill, wind conditions, and the actual temperature and precipitation. So it's important to look at not just what's the weather in Lake Placid, but what's the weather going to be on the top of the mountain. So if it's a negative 50-degree wind chill like it was this past weekend, you may want to opt out or do something different. So because these weather changes happen so quickly and the winter weather is so frigid out there, you'll notice you have a shorter summit break. You're not really standing at the summit soaking in the views long. You can't take as many selfies or play around at the summit as much, because it's amazing how quickly your body temperature drops when you're standing still for even like 5 minutes. My hands are always the first thing to go numb for me, and I always am like, oh, well, time to get moving. I tend to have hand warmers inside of my gloves, which is great, waterproof, insulated, and even with all of that, I still get cold. So it's important to make sure that, okay, we're at the summit, we'll take a moment, we'll relax and enjoy it a bit, but also keep in mind that you gotta keep going, because you gotta keep your heart rate moving to be able to stay warm while hiking. 4, winter hiking is harder than regular hiking. Wintertime you need to carry more in your pack. Your pack's heavier, it's more cumbersome, it's more bulky. And on top of that, hiking with snowshoes is definitely harder than hiking with regular boots. You have to keep in mind you have a totally different way that you're walking. So you have a wider stance, and walking like that and lifting more of your foot in that motion, it wears out your hip flexors, it slows your pace down, and it's more tiring. I find myself stopping more often, not just for refuel, but also to take a break because I'm out of breath easier. Cold weather makes it harder to breathe. So there's a lot of factors to keep in mind. If you're used to running up and down the mountain and being back to your car by noon, you got to factor in a little bit more time, because you can expect that your pace is going to be much slower due to the snow and all the stuff that you're carrying on your pack and that really chilly temperatures. So keep that in mind when you're budgeting how much time you actually need to finish a hike in a day. Number 5, hiking in the winter is single-handedly one of the most gorgeous and relaxing things I like to do. I think there is nothing more beautiful in this world than looking at the beautiful Adirondack Mountains covered in snow, the pines covered in snow, and just the stillness and quietness of the mountains. I mean, the trails are normally mobbed in the summertime. You go to a trailhead and it's filled by 5 a.m. Wintertime, you can show up at 9 a.m., do a nice small hike, and be back to your car in the afternoon, like no problem. It's just really relaxing to me. I like hearing less people on the trail. I like seeing less litter and damage to the trail because you get really more serious hikers and lovers of the outdoors this time of year. It's just a different experience, and I highly, highly, highly recommend you try it once in your lifetime and fall in love with it like I did. So make sure you gear up and start getting ready, and then once you get out there, I think you're gonna love it just like I did. So that's all I have for today. I have some other hiking suggestions in winter coming soon. So make sure, like I said, subscribe to my channel, comment anything that you may have questions or feedback for this video in the comments below, and I hope to see you guys on the trails.